All right, this is going to be the video notes for more fractions. So, question of the day was on page 72, problem I. How do you remember the difference between least common multiple, or LCM, and greatest common factor, or GCF? Also, there is a homework assignment associated with this. It is CYU page 70. It is due Monday after MEA break. Make sure to fill out how you remember the differences between LCM and GCF. All right, open up the page 6-7. And we have two models right at the top of it. These are how we learned how to divide and multiply fractions. So we're just going to review that really quick, and then we'll get into more review. That's essentially all this lesson is going to be. So on the left side over here, we have a tape diagram, and that was how we visualized division of fractions. So remember, each box was worth 1, or whatever we change its value to be. In this case, it's going to be 1, and there are 6 of them in total. We take bites out of it, and we took bites out of it 2 at a time. So we were asked how many 2's go into 6. That was how we visualized dividing fractions. And the way you could write that out as an equation would be 6 divided by 2. All right, over on this side, this is how we learned how to multiply fractions. And this one, it's been a couple weeks, so you might feel a little rusty on it, which is totally okay. But each side was supposed to be 1 in total. So if we had it be 3 boxes, that means each box would be worth 1/3. And if it's 6 boxes wide, that means each box would be worth 1/6 of the width. Down here, 2 of the 3 got filled in, meaning that they multiplied 2/3. And they filled in 5 of the 6 up here, meaning they multiplied 5/6. We kept saying that was 2/3 of 5/6, or 2/3 of a set of 5/6, stuff like that. And that would just be a multiplication problem of the 2. All right, so that's just review on how we learn how to visualize these things. Next, I would like you to pause the video and solve both of these. Remember, we do not want to have any sort of whole number. Everything needs to be a fraction. So you need to convert this mixed number into an improper fraction, and 4, you need to put it over 1. So please pause it and do these 2 problems. All right, so for this one, I'm going to rewrite it. 3/4 times 4 over 1. Throughout this entire lesson, I am going to focus on pre-simplifying. The reason I'm going to do that is to hopefully make pre-simplifying make a little bit more sense. So to pre-simplify, we always look at our diagonals every single time, and we need to check if we can simplify them. So this blue one, 3 and 1, is essentially the fraction 3 over 1. Can you simplify 3 over 1? You can't. You could make it into 3, but that's not simplifying the fraction. That's just converting it into a mixed number. What about 4 over 4? The yellow one, 4 over 4. I can divide both of those by 4, and I would get 1 over 1, which would be 1, but we're going to leave it as 1 over 1. So what you do for the yellow one, you divide both numbers by 4, and they're both going to become 1, and they will go away. Now we just replace those 4's with 1. That's what we do when we pre-simplify. All we have to do is look at the diagonals, treat them like they're their own fraction pretty much, and simplify them. If every single direction, the diagonals as well as the verticals, like this, are fully simplified, our final answer will always be fully simplified. And we don't even have to think about if we can simplify it more. So now we'll just multiply across the top and bottom. We have 3 times 1 and 1 times 1. We can convert that to a mixed number, or just do 3 divided by 1 to get our answer of 3. If you didn't pre-simplify, you would have gotten 12/4, or 12 over 4, which you could have also gotten to 3 from, but it would be a little bit more work on the back end. All right, over on this problem, we have to do 8 times 1, because we have to convert this into a improper fraction. 8 times 1 is 8. Add that 8 to 1, and we get 9. Our denominator stays the same. So I'll rewrite the problem. 2/5. We have to do keep, change, flip.
Please excuse this interruption. This message is for any interested faculty and definitely for those of you on the PBIS committee. are starting our meeting now in room 2408. If you would like to join us, we'd be happy to host you. Come on down to 2408.
All right, sorry about the interruption. So I'm just going to keep going. So we have to keep the first one, 2/5, change it from division to multiplication, and then last but not least, we have to flip the fraction. So 9/8 becomes 8/9. Okay, so next we're going to look at our diagonals. The blue one, 2 and 9, only number I can divide both of those by is 1, and that doesn't do us any good. For 5 and 8, same thing. Only thing we could do is 1, and that doesn't help us. So we'll multiply across the top and get 16. Multiply across the bottom and get 40. 45ths, sorry. And that is your answer. You cannot simplify that any further. If you pre-simplify, you can guarantee that our answer will be fully simplified. You might need to convert it into a mixed number or something like that, but you don't need to worry about simplifying it. All right, for this problem, yes, it is disgusting. I fully agree. We have to use PEMDAS, all right? PEMDAS. So do that, pause the video, try your best. There is a question very similar to this on the test. It is a spicy one, but this is good practice to get you ready for it. All right. So hopefully you have it done. First, we have to do the multiplication. So we have 1/4 times 3/8. If you check the diagonals, there is nothing we can do to pre-simplify. So we just have to do 1 times 1, or 1 times 3, sorry, which is 3, and 4 times 8, which is 32. Now we'll drop the rest of it. So you're gonna have 1/2 plus 3/32 divided by 1/8. And according to PEMDAS, we should do the division next. So I'm gonna do that over on the side. We have 3/32. We keep it, we change it to multiplication, and then we flip it to 8/1. When we pre-simplify, I notice 32 and 8 are both divisible by 8, so I'll do that. 32 divided by 8 is 4, 8 divided by 8 is 1. So we are left with this, and we get 3 times 1 is 3, 4 times 1 is 4. So we have 1/2 plus 3/4. Last but not least, we got to look here. We need a common denominator. Remember, when we add and subtract fractions, we have to have a common denominator. So I'm going to scale up 1/2 by multiplying both the top and the bottom by 2. I'll get 2/4 plus 3/4. We only add across the top, and we'll get 5/4, which is equal to 1 and 1/4. That is your answer. All right, we have a cartoon. Nikola Tesla says, "Ayo, Albert, is there a better way to simplify?" Or there is a better way to simplify, my bad. And Albert Einstein says, "For real?" In school, like when I was teaching this in person, the kids determined that this was the worst way to simplify things. And that's okay. We're still going to learn how to do it because it gives us a really good excuse to find the greatest common factor of two numbers. So we can use the greatest common factor of the numerator and denominator to determine what we can divide the top and the bottom of a fraction by to make it in its simplest form. So we'll find the greatest common factor, divide the top and the bottom by it, and then we have our simplest form. So give these two a shot. The first one's going to be a little nasty. Second one's all right. So pause the video and give it a try. All right, so we have 186 and 8. Remember, we liked to make a table chart, at least in Mr. Thorson's class. That's how we did it. And then we'd ask ourselves, what can we multiply to get 8? We'd do 1 times 8, 2 times 4, and those were the only ways we could get there. I always recommended that you started with 1 and kept working through. And when we had really big numbers such as 168, I recommended that you think of your divisibility skills. So what I'm going to start out with is I'm actually going to list the numbers 1 through 8. And I'm going to check if I can divide 168 by those numbers. And if I did divide it, what would my answer be? So 168, I can divide that by 1, and I'd get 168. That tells me I can do 1 times 168 to get to our original starting point. For 2, it's an even number, so 2 works. And I would get 84, so 2 times 84 is 168. For 3, we add up our digits. 1 plus 6 plus 8 is 15. 15 is divisible by 3, so I can divide 168 by 3. And I would get 56. So 3 times 56 will get us there. For 4, all you had to do is check the last 2 numbers. So 68. That is divisible by 4. And 168 divided by 4 would get you 42. So 4 times 42 gets you there. For 5, the number has to end in 0 or 5. 8 is not 0 or 5, so 5 does not work. For 6, it had to be divisible by 2 and 3. It was, so 6 works. And you would get 28. 7, I said do the long division. I did for you. It doesn't work. And then for 8, you have to be able to divide it by 2 3 times in a row, which you could, and you'd get 21. So we listed out all the factors. That one was pretty gross. I fully agree. All right. So now we got to find the common factors. So the ones that are in both lists. 1 is in both lists. 2 is in both lists. 4 is in both lists. And 8 is in both lists. So our greatest common factor is 8. I don't know if you remember, but the reason we did that was so we could simplify the fraction. The greatest common factor is what we should divide the top and the bottom of a fraction by. So for this one, 8 divided by 8 is 1. 168 divided by 8 is 21. So that is your final answer. If you didn't already try, please try 20 and 125. It's much easier than the problem we just did. So if you didn't give it a shot, please do now. All right, for 20, we can do 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5. For 125, you can do 1 times 125 and 5 times 25. We'll look for the overlap. We have 1 and 5. That is it. The larger of the two is 5, so 5 is the greatest common factor. We'll divide the top and the bottom by 5, and we get 4/25. All right, we are going to go over 2 word problems. I'll do the first one for you, and then I want you to try out example 2. So we want to know how many 2.5 acre plots can be made out of a 35 acre field. So we're going to repetitively cut up 35 acres. So that tells us we're going to be doing division. And our whole is the 35 acres. And we keep removing chunks 2.5 acres at a time. If we have a fraction in our problem, it's got to be all fractions. We don't want it to be both. It's got to be one or the other. So we have to convert everything into a fraction. So 35 will become 35 over 1. Divided by 2.5 becomes 2 times 2 is 4. We add that to the numerator, so we get 5, and our denominator is just going to be 2. It's going to stay the same. That's how we convert from a mixed number into an improper fraction. Next, we got to do keep, change, flip. So we keep it as 35 over 1, change it to multiplication, and then flip the second fraction so it becomes 2/5. Our divisibility rules. Nope, that's not the words I wanted. When I pre-simplify, I notice 35 and 5. I can divide both of those by 5. 35 divided by 5 is 7. 5 divided by 5 is 1. And then we can multiply across the top and bottom. We get 14 over 1, which is just 14. And that is your answer. So try to set up this one. If a pop costs 3/4 of a dollar and I have $7, how many pops can I buy? Give it a shot. All right, hopefully you did it. You should have set it up with 7 divided by 3/4. Remember, we got to do keep, change, flip. So it's going to be 7 over 1 because it's got to be a fraction. Change it to multiplication. And then we got to flip the other fraction. So it becomes 4/3. We cannot pre-simplify it, so we just have to go with it. And we'll get 28/3. That does not mean all that much to me. So I got to convert this into a mixed number. There were a lot of different ways we could do it. Choose the method that works best for you. I'm going to do one that we haven't done in a little bit. So I'm going to do the long division method. So I'll do 28 divided by 3. I'll ask myself, does 3 fit into 2? Nope. Does 3 fit into 28? Yep, 9 times. It'd be 27. I subtract that, and I get a remainder of 1. So our answer would be 9 with a remainder of 1. So we get 9. Remember that remainder becomes our new numerator, and we keep our old denominator. So we get 9 1/3. However, is that our final answer? Hopefully you said no, because if you go to the store and ask to buy 1/3 of a pop, they're going to think you're crazy, right? You can't buy 1/3 of a pop. So how many pops can you buy? The answer is 9. All right. So now work on your CYU. This was the last set of notes before the unit test. Hopefully you're feeling pretty good about it. Remember, there's a booklet that you can look at for review.